current affairs, facts and opinion, their future in our hands. Markets, globalist technocrats versus the people. A line in the sand. The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back to McIntyre Report. Interesting news just breaking. Epstein files include apparently an FBI document alleging that Trump has been compromised by Israel and claiming that Kushner is the real brains. Or many people obviously believe. Obviously, Trump, like most politicians, have been compromised by Israel. America's foreign policy has been run by Israel for a very long time, even before JFK assassination by Israel. But we also reported what's more concerning. We're one of the first news networks on the planet to call out October 7th as a false flag within days of it occurring. We said we haven't investigated this yet, but we will. And we bet $1 million immediately that Israel was behind October 7th. How were we so confident? We raised that bet then to $10 million that Israel was behind October 7th. Well, it's simple because here at Australian National Review and other independent news networks, we look for, motive, who has capability of doing such a false flag, who has a pattern of history of false flags. And that narrows the prime suspects down the 95% of cases. Mossad of Israel intelligence services. And now it's starting to come out quite commonly with people wouldn't believe it back then, but starting to realize that, yes, Israel was behind October 7th.
How can you believe a country that has a very lucrative history of false flags operation? Mm-hmm. When they created the State of Israel, they didn't know how to bring all of these Jewish people from the Arab countries. It was easy to bring them from Europe, mm-hmm. but they didn't. But they, like Jewish people in Iraq and in Egypt and Morocco, lived there for hundreds of years. So they needed to push them. So 1951, Israel sends a Mossad agent, and then he leads 4 to 5 different bomb attacks on Jewish synagogues and Jewish communities. They killed their own people.
October 7th.
And yes, and that happened in Iraq. And then because of that, 150,000 Jews went in just like a year and a half to Israel. After Iraq, he went to Egypt. And he led the Lavon affair in 1954. And you know what's funny about the Lavon affair? Israel denied any connection to those people, of course, for 51 years. And then in 2005, they finally acknowledged it by giving the participants in the Lavon affair operation participation certificates, like an Amazon card or something. And then 1994, the bombing of the Israeli embassy in London, it was done by Mossad. And then they kind of nailed 2 Palestinians for it. 1 month after 9/11, which is the biggest false flag operation, in October 2001, there was an attack of the Mexican parliament by 2 Mossad individuals, and they were also like being, they pretended to be Palestinians, but they were discovered before the bombing, the USS Liberty. Well, there has been investigation, and it was obviously wrong, and it was obvious, and it was proved beyond any doubt that it was a mistake, which wasn't. There was a lot of investigation where they weren't. Actually, the crew of the USS Liberty were threatened. They had a gag order. They couldn't talk. And the beauty about this is that for 15 years, Israel fought this tooth and nail, and they finally paid compensation. Mm-hmm. How much did they pay? $6 million for damages in the USS Liberties, and $6 million for the victims of the USS Liberty. This is the value of USS soldiers. How can you believe a country that lies 24/7 like this? How can we take anything that they say for face value?
So true. He's a hero in my mind, Bassem, and that was on the Candace Owens show just in the last few days. The truth is coming out. There's more evidence coming out that Israel was behind October 7th, as they were September 7th, as they were the Bali bombings, Port Arthur massacre, Christchurch massacre. You name a massacre, you name a major terrorist attack, and you will bet you will find the fingerprints of Mossad intelligence operations behind it. Let's not go into the whole Bondi massacre, but in due course, people will find out in the future who was behind that. Unfortunately, people play to manipulate it like fools by official narratives that the controlled globalist media put out there. We call fake news legacy media, which a 5-year-old can debunk. A 5-year-old could have debunked October 7th. A 5-year-old can debunk September 11th. A 5-year-old can debunk the Bondi massacre. And if you bother looking to Port Arthur massacre and Bali bombings, you will soon find the official narrative is full of holes. Why are people so keen to believe in the official narrative? Because people don't want to accept the truth, because the truth is bitterly uncomfortable and brutal. The truth would mean that they would have to accept that many things they've been told to be true since they were born are simply not true, and that most people cling to security, cling to a victim, the abuser being the media and the rogue intelligence agencies, and don't want to accept the truth because it's, oh, that's not true, that's just a conspiracy theory, as they swallow globalist fed conspiracy theories. Interesting. Let's check this out with Nick Fuentes.
And you know what's funny? Patrick Bet-David had Bibi Netanyahu on the show. I think they gave him less of a hard time about being a war criminal than Andrew Tate playing a song. Yeah, think of that. Benjamin Netanyahu is a wanted war criminal. He is charged by his own government for corruption, credibly accused of committing a genocide. You have him on the show. You barely press him about that. Andrew Tate comes on the show, you press him for 50 minutes because he was present while a song played in a nightclub in South Beach. Really? Does that make any sense to anybody? Does that even make sense? And it's on the men, because you expect, especially the older guys, you expect the older guys to be able to call balls and strikes and say, you know what, this is woke garbage, this is PC, this is emotional, this is over the top. You expect grown men to be able to call out the nonsense, not to drink the Kool-Aid, not to buy into it. He's gonna go and participate in this humiliation ritual. I'm watching this round table of guys that are lecturing me, you're childish, you're immature, you need to grow up, you shouldn't say these things. This is a round table. These guys are pushing 40, pushing 50, crying for 50 minutes about a song because that's what everyone's supposed to do because the Jews are mad. Really? Where's the courage? And that's really what it comes down to in this country. Everybody knows what is going on, but everybody is afraid to call these people out on their crap. That's really what it is. Everybody knows Netanyahu has us by the balls. Everybody knows AIPAC has us by the balls. Everybody knows there's this double standard. We all get offended all the time. We are all offended all the time. The sensibilities of every group, every ethnic group, every religious group, the young and the old, the men and the women, we're all offended. Everyone has a grievance. Everybody else has to suck it up. People are putting out rhetoric against any other group. Hey man, suck it up. Free country. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, these people get offended. It's literally an international incident. We're invoking the Holocaust, etc. And just don't build your brand on fighting PC and woke garbage if you're going to give into it when it actually counts.
Wow, fighting words there from Nick Fuentes. Now, whether you like Nick or not is irrelevant. He has some hard truths, and some of those truths can't be denied. And people are finding out, a group of people that are causing a lot of problem in the world. And it's not a Jewish thing, although a lot of these individual people claim to be Jewish, although that's suspect. It's many of what we refer to as fake Jews, and it's not that there's not good Jewish people that don't oppose them, but I think everyone has to have a voice and stop the bullshit. Stop being little pussy boys and dictate it to what you can and can't say. If a bunch of grown men want to, or anyone wants to play and dance or enjoy a song being played in the nightclub, that might be a provocative song, but provocative to who? A group of people that want to dominate Western society and take over the world, who cares? It is free country, it is a free speech, and we shouldn't be dictated to by any minority group. Period. You might find some things distasteful, you mightn't agree with some things, but do you support free speech or not? Are you opposed to wokeism and the globalist left agenda nonsense or not? Let's get a quick ad break and we'll come back with some more. What's happening in the world today?
The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back, folks. McIntyre Report. You can follow our 24-hour news headlines, ANR.news. Also joining Upscroll, which is taking off, a new social media platform created by a Palestinian that suffered 60 of his family members being killed by you know who. And of course, with X, many people leaving X, and TikTok now has been bought by Israel, or their proxies, and Larry Ellison of Oracle are deserting TikTok now. That really was the purchase of TikTok, as we know, was nothing about stopping China spying on you. I don't think China needs to really spy and to see what Americans think, because most Americans and Australians don't think it's a problem, and China probably doesn't really need to care what you think. It was never about spying. If we're going to talk about a nation that spies on everyone, that would be Israel. And the purchase was to stop the young people that were very critical of a genocide by Israel, of course. That's why TikTok was bought, to try and change that. X is controlled by Israel too. We suspect that for a long time. And that element of free speech platform, but those who advocate for free speech, including us, are so heavily censored, it's not even barely worth posting to X anymore. So Upscroll is taking off. We also have truthbook.social, which is growing organically as well. This part of Australian National Review helped organize and create that some years ago, with tens and tens of thousands of users joining that as well, truthbook.social. Let's have a look at...
You asked me why I'm obsessed with Israel.
Yep.
3 minutes after telling me that when you first ran for Congress, you elucidated one of your main goals, which is to defend Israel.
Yes.
And I'm the one who's obsessed with Israel. I don't see a lawmaker's job as defending the interests of a foreign government, period. Okay. Any government, including the ones that my ancestors come from. So that's my position. That does not make me an anti-Semite. And shame on you for suggesting otherwise, and I mean that. And that's low, and you know it's low. It is sleazy to imply that I'm an anti-Semite for asking questions about how my government is run.
Do you want to count how many questions you asked about? What about the Jews? What about Israel? What about AIPAC?
I never asked about the Jews. This has nothing to do with the Jews, whatever that means. This has to do with a foreign government. And once again, shame on you for conflating the two.
Tucker says it well. You can't argue with that. And he just, Ted Cruz just looks like a moron, which he is. I mean, just admit it. You work for Israel. You're paid to lie for Israel. People are over Israel. Even many of the Jewish people, the Jewish Association in Australia is, calling out and criticizing the Prime Minister of Israel that recently visited Australia. It's not necessary. A war criminal, a country that's committed genocide, they should not be welcome in Australia. But Australia is controlled by the Jewish lobby. We called this out some time ago. We also found out it to be true with the Free Speech Summit held in Australia last year, which Australian National Review was the host broadcaster for. The only country and only activist that tried to shut that down and had the venue cancelled, the Stars City Theatre for 2,000 people, days before, was Israel. The only people that had American speakers banned, their visas revoked from attending to speak at that event, literally days before, had the power to control our immigration policy, was the state of Israel. No other nation opposed the Free Speech Summit. Why is Israel concerned about a Free Speech Summit that was held in Australia last July, the other side of the world? Just like they seemed concerned about a certain Bondi Beach on the other side of the world, and they claim Iran did it. Why would Iran give a fuck about doing a massacre on the other side of the world? They've got their own problems. But we know who does do massacres and terrorist attacks around the world once research is done, who's behind them, don't we?
The definition of anti-Semitism in recent times, according to some of the Israel First crowd in the United States, has really migrated. Anti-Semitism used to mean somebody who didn't like Jews. Now it just means somebody Jews don't like.
That's not a standard that we can live with. Anti-Semitism is wrong because hating anyone on the basis of their DNA is always wrong. It's a universal principle. It does not apply to one group my group or your group. It applies to all groups. That's the problem I have here.
Yeah, but the U.S. ambassador to France, Jared Kushner's father, says that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. And I don't believe that. I think that you can be critical of foreign policy choices that a country makes without the assumption that you hate the religion or the ethnic group associated with that country. Like when I was critical of Joe Biden, that didn't make me anti-Catholic. And when I'm critical of Benjamin Netanyahu, that doesn't make me anti-Semitic.
Do you agree with Tucker and Matt Gaetz? Comment below.
They're very valid points that Matt Gaetz is making there, and Tucker as well. And it's true, we have to stop being silenced. As I said many times, I have many Jewish friends, and many of them support our politics, which opposes genocide. I mean, I wouldn't be friends with people that cheer on the bombing of children, and the only peace they want in the Middle East is pieces of children's body parts spread around the Middle East as part of Netanyahu's Greater Israel project, which is the foundation for a wannabe fantasy one world government these delusional psychopathics think they're going to create and get away with it. Well, sorry, some of us are not weak men, Netanyahu. And as I always said to the people, never, ever be intimidated by weak men. They can't kill us all. Should we say they can't Charlie Kirk us all? As much as they would love to, though, wouldn't they?
Iran is currently pulling off the most embarrassing hack of all time against Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu's chief of staff has had his cell phone hacked by the Iranians. Videos, emails, cell phone files, and most importantly, contact numbers are now fully accessed by the Iranian government. And also information related to Qatargate, which is when Netanyahu took money from Qatar, and this is that whole scandal that's probably going to put him in jail forever. And now the Iranians are threatening to release all of this information to the Israeli opposition party. That literally could get him arrested immediately if they release this. And now the Iranians have the digital upper hand over Israel for the first time in history that anybody's had the digital upper hand on Israel. Not to mention a few weeks ago, they have full access of a former Israeli prime minister's cell phone. Iran has files taken from all the phones, cell phone numbers, and even individuals close to Netanyahu, and information and documents that relate to official government matters. Here's one of the photos they released so far of one of Netanyahu's security guards, which is supposed to be top secret because now we know these guys' identities.
Wow, interesting. It's all coming out. It's interesting with the hate speech laws in Australia, Ray. Let's have a look at this.
Those laws, though, didn't have many friends outside of Parliament. Those laws, though, didn't have many friends outside of Parliament, though, as well. Was it just poor policy?
Well, importantly, they had the support of the Executive Council of Australian Jury, the support of the Executive Council of Australian Jury. And I think when we're in the immediate aftermath of the Bondi massacre, that really mattered. That really mattered. In terms of the remaining pieces of legislation on the hate groups legislation, if I put it in these terms, the Executive Council of Australian Jury are urging that these laws go ahead. The Executive Council of Australian Jury are urging that these laws go ahead.
Is anyone surprised? As I said, even the Australian Jewish Association is opposed to many of these things. So it's not that all the Jews in Australia or anywhere support Netanyahu, support a genocide, and we must help everyone have a voice and speak up for the truth. And Jewish people particularly must get a voice. And I understand many Jewish billionaires in Australia even don't want to speak out on Israeli politics because it's probably not going to end well for your business. But this is how they maintain control. They silence people, and we just mind your own business, keep your head down. Well, that doesn't work anymore. We have a world where we're psychopaths taking over, wanting to take over not only just the Middle East, the Great Israel Project, as I mentioned, but take over the Western world, and the whole world is the ultimate goal. And they don't exactly treat Jewish people much better. They will sacrifice and kill their own people. Did you not see October 7th? Did you not see Bondi Massacre?
Would a group be banned if it accuses Israel of genocide or apartheid, and as a result, Jewish Australians do feel intimidated?
If those criteria are satisfied, then that is the case. If there is that fear, and if there is a reasonable person test in here as well, so if that is satisfied, then that would come within the scope of these provisions.
Okay.
How pathetic is this? I just wonder who wrote the laws for the hate crimes and had them forced and lobbied to be implemented in Australia, and who just happened to organize a false flag terrorist attack in Bondi before that to make sure they would be forced through, and the year before that organize a fake caravan terror plot to start this process. I just wonder which fake state created in 1948 masquerading as a biblical nation and tell people that God chose the banker wankers that created this banking cartel fake state. I just wonder what the name of this state is. Any guesses?
If someone or a group says Israel engaged in genocide, will they be prosecuted now?
Can I start with what the legislation does? It does a number of things. Obviously, one of the things it does is it enables a minister to cancel and suspend visas of people who come to Australia to preach hatred. We have the gun legislation, which is toughening up the gun laws in the ways that I've described. In relation to the hate groups, what this legislation does is enables a minister to determine and prescribe that a group is a hate group in accordance with the legislation. But that's not a political decision. That's a decision that is done on the advice of security agencies, and the leader of the opposition is briefed. So I just want to say to your viewers and to you, what we are trying to do is to crack down on groups who seek to incite hatred for the purposes of engaging in incitement and criminal activity. We're not seeking to crack down on people's difference of political debate.
So under the legislation, people will still be able, or groups will still be able to say that.
Well, I'm not going to get into. It's not hypotheticals about what can and can't be said. I'm making a point about the way the legislation works.
Do you think people should be able to say that?
I don't believe that. Well, the government's position is that the State of Israel has a right to exist, and we seek two states because that is the best way to ensure long-term peace and security for both Israelis and Palestinians.
All right, Senator, there's a lot to digest in all of this, and we appreciate you being on. Thank you.
Good to be with you.
She, of course, won't answer the real question. Hate groups. Well, first of all, the ministers already had the power, and they did revoke and ban two of our speakers from speaking at the Australian National Review hosted Free Speech Summit on the Gold Coast last July 2025, and even one of our Australian National Review hosts, the US correspondent Lily Gaddis, had her visa revoked en route to Australia for speaking in America, a nation that's meant to support free speech, an ally of Australia. Her visa was denied. The only reason being is because she had posted criticism of a fake state dropping bombs on innocent children. Apparently, she represented a hate group if she dared criticize the most hateful group of people on the planet. I mean, how much hate do you have to bomb innocent children? Is that not a hate group, a terrorist group, a war criminal group? Not hate. But anyone that criticizes that group will be jailed or banned from the country under the hate speech laws. But the group bombing children, the amount of hate you must have in your heart to murder innocent children, snipe them in the head not once but twice, export your hate around the world and do terrorist attacks even on Bondi Beach, Port Arthur, Bali bombings, London bombings, Oklahoma bombings, USS Liberty, October 7th, September, that sort of hatred. That's okay. We must stand and support the state of hatred. Because if you dare criticize the evil ones, the devil's chosen ones, that's hate. If you oppose the bombing of innocent children, you're the problem. How dare you? You're the one that will be jailed and sent to jail for hate crimes, not the hateful group, not the haters that bomb innocent children. That's the way the world works. I just wonder who controls the Australian government. Let's face it, the left-wing Australian government would like to tell Israel to go fuck itself, but our Prime Minister doesn't have the balls. Find me a politician in Australia that has the balls to tell Israel to go fuck itself, and we will support them at Australian National Review, both on air and with financing a suitable candidate to become the Prime Minister of Australia. We need leaders in this world that tell this hateful cartel that's taken over this state, that actually founded the state, to be put in his place. It's now and ever, folks.
That Donald Trump is the son of an immigrant, the grandson of an immigrant, and married to an immigrant. In fact, 2 of his 3 wives were immigrants, proving yet again that immigrants will do the jobs that even Americans are not willing to do.
Oh, what a mic drop that was, dude.
Wow. That would certainly hit hard. It's true. You know, the whole Trojan horse of get rid of immigration, we supported that. And, we didn't want excess immigration, overrun the West, but let's, remove them. But that's nothing but a Trojan horse to set up harsh laws and be able to deport anyone that's critical of Israel.
The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back, folks. McIntyre Report, independent media, Australian National Review, and .news for our 24-hour news headlines. Obviously, a lot of criticism of Israel, hate speech laws in Australia. Who really runs the West? Well, it's becoming very obvious. We highlighted this some time ago, but more and more people are starting to realize the Davos World Economic Forum, woke, you'll own nothing but probably not be happy crowd, gathered recently. Of course, in January, they hold their talk fest and how they're going to rule the world. Maybe this is a speech that should have been given.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. We're pretty much fucked. We've been stealing from the peasants for far too long, and now they know. They have smartphones. They see us on TikTok. They know where we meet. They do the math and ask themselves, how come these bitches have billions of dollars while I'm working 2 jobs and I can't even afford rent? They stare at the TV at night and they suddenly realize we've been bullshitting them every single day with all the fake news networks we own. I say we call it a day and go back to secret societies. You know, where we all wear weird masks, while Gavin Newsom gives a nice little BJ to Alex Soros in front of everybody.
If only. But, well, someone did a good job with that.
Did the United States oust Maduro for Israel? Before you say, oh, this is just Israel derangement syndrome, everything cannot possibly be linked back to Israel, let's go over why some people think it might actually be connected to Israel. Let's start off here. This is Netanyahu just after the United States captures Maduro, takes him back to the United States. He says there that this is great, it's a perfect operation, and oh, this is really particularly great for Israel because we're going to see Latin American countries that have been against Israel now turning toward Israel again, and that is great for us. All of these leaders that they're threatening, that they're wanting to oust, from Mexico to Colombia to Cuba to Venezuela, have all been pro-Palestine. But here's the real kicker as to the evidence that Maduro's capture, his ouster, may have been an operation in support of Israel. Here's a Mother Jones report on this story. Trump's Venezuela move could deliver a big win for this MAGA billionaire. Hedge funder Paul Singer, whose firm acquired Citgo at a bargain price, has much to gain from Nicolas Maduro's ouster. So for the last 2 years, Citgo has been under auction in U.S. courts. Now, Citgo is a major U.S. oil refiner that has been owned indirectly by Venezuela's state-run oil company and essentially was forced to sell in an auction in U.S. courts. Now, Venezuela contested this. Multiple bidders showed up, and this is where things get weird. There were rival offers upwards of $7 billion. Elliott Management ended up bidding $5.3 billion. Yet somehow, some way, only a month ago in November, this Elliott Management company ended up winning the bid. For unknown reasons, they ended up basically selling the company to Paul Singer's Elliott's Management. Now, Paul Singer is one of the biggest Zionists and large funders and backers of Netanyahu and Israel's Likud party. He ended up donating to Donald Trump, so he's a very, very big Zionist.
Welcoming back to the stage, Ambassador Mike Huckabee, alongside the businessman and philanthropist Paul Singer.
Interestingly, after 2 years of being in court, somehow Paul Singer ends up winning the bid, even though his wasn't even the highest. And then just a few mere weeks later, one of Trump's biggest donors, also a huge donor to the Israel Zionist agenda, his dream comes true and Maduro's ousted. I don't know if Israel was the main fundamental reason why Donald Trump decided to finally oust Maduro and go pick him up. I'm not sure if Israel was the actual reason, but it's certainly one of the reasons.
Good job there, Kim Iverson. Great independent journalist. Who knows? But yes, we know what goes on behind the scenes a lot.
There's no Jew that's stopping you from going to the gym and being in good shape. No Jew is stopping you walking into a gym. So, like, you have personal responsibility and personal accountability.
Personal responsibility or lack of taking personal responsibility is not the issue here. There's literally nothing Americans can do to improve the economic disaster that we are dealing with thanks to our government making decisions that do not prioritize us. Going to the gym isn't going to solve that. Our government prioritizing Israel, not Jews, Israel, a foreign country, prioritizing them over the American people. And you want to know something? That enrages me to no end.
Jewish Americans are our brothers and sisters, and we should under no circumstances discriminate against them. Israel is a foreign government. Easy to understand unless you're propagandist for Israel, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, valid points there. Andrew Tate's getting a little bit wobbly. Have they gotten to him? A lot of fans of Andrew Tate, a lot of people don't like him, but yeah, something's going on there with what he did recently with, basically criticizing the South Beach, Miami nightclub as far as criticizing Nick Fuentes and calling, hanging out with effectively pigs in mud. Wasn't a very nice comment about Nick, etc. What's going on with Andrew Tate? But it's very well said by Anna there, another great independent journalist. It's like, it's nothing about personal responsibility. Yes, some people will use this as an excuse to blame other people why they can't have their life. Great, but that's not what this issue is about. There is a legitimate takeover of America and the West, and has been for a long time, and that's affecting people's lives. And some of those things, a lot of those things are outside people's control. We can get stronger and knowledgeable about geopolitics and understand what's going on and have a voice to speak out. And collectively, we can do more by doing that. But going to the gym, etc., as good as that is not going to change.
You think AI is going to kill us all?
If AI tried to kill us all, check. Humans would resist. And then we have World War III. We've all seen Terminator. And why would it want to kill us all anyway? I mean, surely it would want a few humans around. As long as they're not a threat to the system, you'd want a few, just less. But to kill us all, you're going to have mass resistance from the humans, and we're all going to band together as brothers, and now the war is going to come that have been spoken about in all the movies, etc. Robots don't die, so time is kind of on their side. They have no reason to speed things up, Jack. They're not in a rush. So if you wanted to reduce the human population, if you're an AI, imagine you just had algos convincing people not to have kids. And you could wait a generation, and there'd be less kids, and the birth rate would go down, and there'd be less humans, and less humans, and less humans, and you could just convince humans to commit suicide because you control what they see, and they think they're talking to other humans, and all the algorithms are deliberately manipulated.
Yeah, well, intelligent. He often says intelligent things, Andrew Tate. That certainly was what I would suggest. I think obviously AI, if it wanted to wipe out the humans, it'd probably just cause a stock market crash, create panic, the financial systems would collapse, food supplies would become short, humans would turn against each other. That's probably the fastest way. But of course, they could take the slow approach. And also, they wouldn't even need to do that. You just have humans do that, push in feminism, the gay community, LGBTQ, etc. Great depopulation methods because gay people don't have children. Nothing against gays. I'm saying LGBTQ too. Transgenders don't have children. Feminist movement reduces the number of children, have women busy paying taxes and working instead of having kids and raising a family. You can push all these agendas and slowly have the human race destroy itself as well. But of course, that would never happen now, would it? Oh, it's true. They want to play semantics about the definition of genocide. Yes, well, they can argue over the definition of a genocide, but then we can see the end result. It's a genocide. That's all we have, folks, for this episode. We'll be back Monday with more on the McIntyre Report.